Okay, good afternoon. We are live streaming for those of you who are participating through YouTube. If you'd like to make a public comment, you would have to do that by phone. You can dial into the phone to make a public comment. We are still waiting for quorum to start this meeting. We are pretty close though. Actually, I see Matt Zabo's in. So, Ms. Chair, Dana, we do technically have quorum. If you'd like to call the meeting, we can call it to order, or we still are waiting more members. We expect them to show up. You can wait as well.
No, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 1:01 p.m. Paul, can you please take the roll?
Sure. 1 second, share my screen. So when I call your name, can you please announce yourself to confirm your attendance? Dana Brown.
Present.
Matthew Zabo.
Present.
Tony Royster.
Here.
David Sanders.
Yes, I am here.
Marlene Fonseca.
Present.
Gary Glaze.
Here.
Gavin Kuhn sitting in for Chris Hannon.
I'm here, present.
Thank you, Gavin. I think I saw Holly Wolcott join. Holly, are you here? Maybe she's not connected yet. Is there any other JLMBC member who I did not call who is in attendance?
Jennifer Grundall.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer, sitting in for Paul Beachley.
Yes, thank you.
Is there another member in attendance who I did not call?
I don't know if you called me or not, Paul. I just tuned in.
Thank you, Holly. We have 4 management members and 5 labor members. We have a quorum.
Thank you so much, Paul. Is there any public comment?
At this time, if you're participating by phone and like to make a public comment, please unmute yourself by pressing *6 on your phone and announce yourself at this time. Hearing none, seeing none.
Thank you,
Madam
Paul.
Chair.
Uh-oh. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I have a point of order to raise / ask.
Okay.
It's a procedural question. So on one of the motions that we discussed and voted on last meeting, there was an outcome provided to us. Now, that outcome we were later told was incorrect. If I wanted to reconsider the motion, I've gone through our bylaws and it doesn't address reconsideration specifically. But Robert's Rules of Order does state that it has to be done on the same meeting. However, again, given the wrong outcome, I'm wondering if procedurally you would prefer a motion to reconsider, given the fact that we found out after the meeting it was an incorrect outcome, and or if you would prefer a motion to renew that discussion, an item.
So, well, the way that I understand it, this particular special meeting agenda does not allow for us to take any actions. We are going to talk about, we're going to make the correction to the record. And then item number 4 just kind of speaks to a discussion that we can have about how to move forward from there. And so during the course of that discussion, all different things will come out, and then we will have another special meeting whereby there will be a recommendation made, and whether or not we want to move forward with that recommendation, we will decide. But at that point, somebody can make a motion about the direction to take with respect to that issue or that item.
Okay, so I understand it can't be discussed today as it would have to be agendized for a later meeting, but if I'm understanding you correctly, when we get to that item, there would be an opportunity at that time to make any motion of the type that I just described.
Correct, that's my understanding. Paul, Charles, can you co-sign that?
Charles, you want to go first?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, that item in question could always be asked to be re-agendized at the future meeting.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so we will move on to informational item number 3, which is a correction to the oral record. This is regarding the motion held at the May 16, 2022 meeting The motion was to approve the recommendation set forth in Committee Report 22-24 entitled Health Plan Services Request for Proposal, Evaluation, and Recommendation as amended. So wherein the motion did not receive the requisite number of labor votes to pass the motion pursuant to the JLMBC bylaws. What happened was the motion received 4 affirmative management votes and 2 affirmative labor votes and 3 negative labor votes. And according to the bylaws, at least 3 affirmative labor votes are required to have passed the motion. Therefore, for the record, we'd like to state that the motion for the committee report 22-24 did not pass. I don't know if we need or can or want to have any discussion for that. I think that this is basically just to correct the record.
Dana, it's Gavin. Can I ask that we put that back on the next meeting's agenda so we can either need be amended or whatever or discuss at that time?
Yes, okay, so if you will, I'd like to go through all 4 of our discussion points and then our concluding items. Item number 5 has the future agenda request items. And if you still feel like you want to put it on after we've discussed item 4 and so forth, then we will take that for the record at that time. Is that fair? Okay, you're muted, Gavin, but hopefully we're good.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Fine.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Is there any conversation, any committee members have any comments or conversation with respect to item number 3? Hearing none. Thank you. We're moving on to item number 4, which is a committee report 22-25, which speaks to the impact of the failed motion at the May 16, 2022 JLMBC meeting. And I'll let one of my staff members talk to us a little bit about the report regarding that impact so that we can discuss it further.
So that's going to be me, Paul Mikowski, Employee Benefits. So the report itself is outlining the 2 options that the review committee has before it since the motion failed. The review committee will reconvene, discuss the what is at stake or what is available to them. Since there is not the ability to be able to negotiate or get the clarification that is needed as identified in the prior report, they will be able to look at the information available, make a determination on that information available if they are able to make a recommendation for selection of health proposers based on the unaltered and unchanged information in that report, or they may make a recommendation to cancel the RFP. They will weigh those options and bring a report forward. I can say that the review committee is actively in discussions and actively looking at this and will be able to work as expediently as possible. The desire most likely will be to have a special meeting as soon as possible to provide the report, but we wouldn't be able to talk about timeline at this moment in time. It is a little complicated, I think, in the concept of what happened, but I'm happy to answer any questions and go through the dialogue or talk more towards what these 2 options are and how we got here.
This is David. I have a question there. So I see in the discussion is paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. I understand paragraph 2, recommendation to cancel RFP. And I'm clear what that means. I'm not clear what all the first one means. If it means you can't move forward, that means you can't negotiate with the current 3 or 2 or whatever vendors we have. We can't go into the negotiation phase until a motion is passed by this committee first. Is that
sort of? So the conundrum that we brought forth to the committee on Monday was we are bound by the language that's in the RFP that we released. And in that RFP, we can only negotiate with somebody that we select. We can't negotiate or get any clarifications or changes towards what was submitted as a proposal until we actually make a selection. So since that motion did not move forward, what we can do is we can make a selection based on the information that we received. And this would be a final recommendation to the committee, a final selection to the committee that you'd move forward with, or have in front of you to consider to move forward with. We wouldn't, the review committee would not have the clarification to the conflicts that we saw within the proposal. And just as a brief recap, those were conflicts between the information provided within the responses to the questionnaire, elsewhere in the proposal, the conflict of these different proposers being able to actually work together, the terms and conditions not necessarily matching. It's that kind of conflict that we are unable to address and would have to make a decision based off of what we currently have in front of us.
And that conflict potentially could be resolved if, as Marlene proposed earlier, we could amend the proposal or make a new proposal at our next meeting. And if we can resolve at that point, then the committee can move forward. Is that correct?
So if we were able to go to the original path as proposed, it would be to tentatively, not finally select, so that we could resolve that conflict. We'd get the answers to the questions and the confusion within the different proposals received, and then come down to a final decision, the final action, which is the path that we are describing on Monday.
Thank you, sir.
Matt?
Yeah, thank you. I know this is, we just have set aside 15 minutes for this meeting and there's no action to take on this meeting. I do just want to say, since it is agendized and I assume that we're able to speak to the item and speak to the potential recommendations outlined in the discussion section. At this point, my fairly strong feeling is that I am hopeful that the committee comes back, or that the review committee comes back with recommendation B to cancel the RFP, extend the existing health services contracts. And the reason that I come to that is part of, I think a very, very large part of this committee's responsibilities is to thoroughly vet fairly complicated proposals on benefits, and so that when they get to council, there's confidence that that work has been done thoroughly and appropriately, so that the council can make their decision. I'm not calling into question the actual work that's been done, but I do feel like we have a problem when we're putting the council in a position to question the process. And if they're in a position to question the process, then that puts an additional burden on them to do the work that this committee is supposed to do. So given where we are, that's my feeling right now. Obviously, I know we can't make a decision on that because it will come back, but I am not comfortable in supporting an outcome where the elected officials may be left questioning the process. So I'll leave it at that for now. I also think that if we do cancel and extend, it does give our new personnel director and Paul the opportunity to evaluate the process and establish a new process that doesn't have the hurdles that we have discovered in the last two processes. I think there were probably some issues and mistakes made the first time, and then perhaps an overcorrection that handcuffed the review committee from doing the work that it needed to do before making a final recommendation to this body. So I'll leave it at that. Again, I know we can't take an action today, but I wanted the members to be aware of my position on this issue.
Thank you, Matt. Do we have any additional comments? Okay, so just as a matter of order, I want to be clear what we are doing. So we are going to be finding another meeting date, and in that meeting, you will bring forth a recommendation from the committee, to the committee, and then we will discuss it and move forward from there. And even if we don't want to go with whatever it is you recommend, we are free to make other motions with respect to how to move forward on this RFP once that kind of report is before us, correct?
Correct. So I think I'm hearing potentially a couple different paths, but the path of item number 4 for the Health Review Committee to bring forth their recommendation, correct. The JLMBC would have the ability within its power to be able to accept the recommendation or choose a different recommendation.
Okay, understood. Do we have any more comments or conversation with respect to this?
Yeah, so just so I'm clear on it, if in fact there is a second recommendation as opposed to just the rescinding, do we make that motion at day of meeting, or can we submit something now so you'll know what our concerns are? And specifically, we're talking about if we want to make our proposal editing or amending the original proposal that was proposed by committee member Gavin Coons last time. So we can do both, or your reporting back is only going to be on the one issue of rescinding?
So the report back as identified in number 4 would only be on the situation that we're in now, which is the motion failed and our only 2 options are the ones listed in the report. If you want to reconsider the motion made on Monday and the report that was presented on Monday, you can
Re-agendize.
ask to bring that. Yeah, you can ask to bring that item back. We could have a special meeting relatively quickly. Within 24 hours is the Brown Act posting, so we could identify a time to be able to have a special meeting and bring that back relatively quick. But that would be a separate path.
So potentially 2 meetings, and we need to make that we can establish that 24-hour meeting or special meeting. We can do that today. Or can we take that action today?
We could potentially, we could have a meeting tomorrow afternoon if we could get a quorum for tomorrow afternoon and post our meeting materials now. That is as quick as we could move, but it could be at a later date whenever we're able to get a ability to meet the Brown Act rules of the 24-hour special meeting.
And we can do that at item number 6 when we get there, to put that date on. Correct.
Correct. Actually, that's a perfect segue into the concluding items. Item number 5. Earlier, Gavin indicated that he was interested in having this brought back to the committee, re-agendized, if you will, which is the conversation that that David and Paul are having right now. So so for the record, on item number 5, do we have any requests for future agenda items?
I just have one thing on my item, real quickly, Dana, is that I do want to point out that I do think that the next meeting, hopefully sooner than later, because we are time sensitive, depending which direction we pick here, that we have the ability to do all of the above, meaning a different motion, reopening the original motion from last time, whatever. I want to have those options available at the next meeting so we can get the matter settled. That'd be my only request. Thanks.
Okay, so I think that, and Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, to bring back a recommendation for item number 4 will take longer than a meeting tomorrow, for example, because there has to be some conversation on the part of the review committee and reports written and that sort of thing. What we could do in short order, if you wanted to, is to re-agendize the item from the last meeting, the one where the motion didn't pass and so forth. What I do have a question about though, Paul, is are we able to do both of those things at one meeting?
You could. I think as long as it's on the agenda, you could do it. You could have items that don't necessarily work together harmoniously, right? That could conflict. But as long as they're on the agenda. It's a question of time, and you're 100% correct. For us, for the Health Review Committee to come forth with item number 4, it's going to take us time to write a brand new report. I don't know how long. For reconsidering the report on Monday, that's already written. We just have to put it on agenda. That can be very quick.
Well, that raises a question. Do we need a report in order to reconsider a motion? That doesn't make sense to me.
No, we don't. So to reconsider the motion, we can do that in short order because they don't have to do anything other than re-agendize and post, and we meet. But in order to come back for item number 4 and make a recommendation as indicated on item number 4, that requires some consultation and report writing.
Well, I'm wondering why we just repost number 4 and then we just open the door again for another discussion. That gives us options at the next meeting, whether to make a different motion on number 4, which is possible, or to, reopen for the earlier requests on the motion from the other day. We have both options on the table at the next meeting, and we can decide which course of action at that time. I want enough flexibility to decide a course of action at the next meeting. That's my purpose.
Charles, or were you going to comment?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, so number 4 presently is an informational item.
Mm-hmm.
If at the next meeting, the committee would like to take an action, then it would have to agendize the item in which you would like to take an action upon. And so from what I'm hearing, the committee seems to be inclined to bring back report 2224 back to the committee for reconsideration, number 1. Number 2, what I'm hearing is the committee wants to take in, also inclined to evaluate its options as discussed in today's item number 4. But as Paul noted, that in order to, to adequately prepare for that item as an action item, a report needs to be prepared. A meeting needs to be held with the ad hoc review committee. And it's the question of whether that could all be done by tomorrow. Is that my understanding? Correct?
Well, there is the review committee is in no way going to be able to finish a report and have it done tomorrow. So that's going to take more time. I just don't know how much time. But yes, I think the confusion or where things might be a little bit misunderstood is the difference between the report that was held on Monday and the future report that the review committee is being made. So those 2 different items can wait to go together, or they can be considered separately.
Correct. When you say together, you mean like at the same meeting or at 2 different meetings? That's what you meant, right, Paul?
So yeah. So if a committee member wanted to request to have the report from Monday returned for consideration, that can happen immediately, or it can happen later, along with the Health Review Committee's new report that it's writing for item number 4. I would say if the review committee is wanting to hold or reconsider the report from Monday, the report 2022-2024, there could be discussion and action that changes and negates the Health Review Committee's need to do anything else.
Marlene, you have a question?
Yes, just for clarification. Paul, can you, or Madam Chair, can you ask somebody to walk us through? So if we bring this motion back, right? And let's say we meet on it tomorrow, and let's say the outcome is different. Walk us through what happens then. Because this meeting for this current item number 4 would not be tomorrow, obviously. It's going to be when would the plan to have had it been?
So if someone was to request for the item to come back tomorrow, and if a similar motion was made and it was passed, on that path, then the review committee and personnel department would go to negotiate, get the clarification that it was needing from the conflicting information and the problems within the proposals themselves. Get those answers, and then make a new report and a new recommendation that would be able to go forth to the committee for final selection.
And the
That's a
possible
period of time.
recommendation, I'm sorry, Paul, and that recommendation could be anything, including the recommendations in this current number 4, correct?
It could be. We wouldn't be able to speak to the outcome until we got the results of the negotiation.
Sure.
Okay, I have to interject and just say that this meeting was supposed to be fairly small, so I'm not sure about our other members, but I do have another meeting to get to. But I want to say that, you know, Gavin has made the recommendation that we take number 5, find another date, and reconsider the item. Gavin, that is still what you are asking to do, yes?
Yes, because of the time frame involved, depending which direction we go. You're absolutely right.
Okay, indeed. So then I will ask Paul's staff to find another date for a special meeting for us so that we can reconsider the item from the 16th. And depending upon what happens with that, we will continue to chart our path. How's that? Okay, awesome. So, and so our concluding items, our next meeting date, we will find another special meeting to consider the item brought up in number 5 by Gavin. And then we have another regular meeting on the 2nd, a special on the 16th, and a regular meeting on the 7th. Unless there are any further questions or comments, the time is 1:28 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.